winning mindset. You know, I had a podcast episode to where I was talking about what if, right? Everything that you tried, you succeeded. And I was reading a book called Read Your Mind by a mentalist, Oz Perlman. And there was a small section in this book that he had where it talked about developing a winning mindset. And I thought I knew what that meant. But after thinking about the way he explained his winning mindset, I realized that I could be doing better in my pregame before I do an activity. And that was something that he excelled in. And the biggest lesson that I learned from that one section, which I think is so important, that's why I'm going to talk about it, is that I'm going to give like a reverse comparison for a minute. There's something called impostor syndrome, and that's after you've achieved something, but you feel like you don't deserve it. Well, I almost had like a reverse impostor syndrome, right? And what I mean by that is that there's things that I wouldn't try purposely because I felt like if I did succeed if I did accomplish my goal, that I wouldn't deserve to be there. And that was like a little mental failure of mine. So through my own mindset and then an insight into this book that I was reading, it made me think differently about myself. Now, the interesting thing is this developing the winning mindset that was in the book, it didn't actually have to do with what I'm talking about, but that's something that triggered me in my mind, and it made me think about my winning mindset. And I realized that now I'm pre-gaming, so to speak, my winning mindset, trying to make this as much sense as possible, since it is all psychological, but basically believing that I have the right to achieve a goal of mine, even if I don't have the experience of it. Okay. Believing that I have the right to win before even trying something. Okay. Which is something that I only usually started thinking when I started the physical process of it. Okay. But now, as I said, I'm pre-gaming my mental mindset, my winning mindset, to believe that before I even try something, and it maybe with others, it's with everything that they do. But for me, at the least, in the areas that I care most about, I'm most passionate about in my life, okay, comedy, judo / jiu-jitsu, that's all one thing. Wrestling, right? That's all combative, right? That I can always be better. But the thing that I care the absolute most about, again, reverting back to what I first said, which is number one, which is doing stand-up comedy professionally and segueing into acting and stuff like that. Now I believe not just when I'm doing something that I deserve to be on stage, but I'm starting to, pre-ignite my thoughts and my feelings and everything way before I even get on stage now. Now I'm starting to believe that in addition to the physical part, okay, and believing something at the moment of, to just essentially, before I even try something, to believe in the outcome before I start with the actions. And I know that's something you should always do. And it's a small change that I'm trying to articulate. But I just thought it was important to get out that before reading this and thinking about my own winning mindset, how I had really started to flip that switch, okay, into game mode as far as okay, I'm doing this right now. I believe I can do it when the actions were starting. Whereas now my mindset is that I'm always going to win, so I'm going to pursue more. And just by making that small mental shift, I'm already I'm happier. I'm being more aggressive with my proactive phone calls, trying to work on doing more shows. And instead of seeing this one small shift, instead of seeing more closed doors, I see more doors that are open. And now I feel like my mind is kind of opening in different ways to think of possibilities that I didn't even think of, because I'm not looking with my eyes. I'm looking with my mind. I'm not thinking about the things that are at face value. I'm thinking way before something even happens. So this way, when it comes to me, if a random moment comes to me, that automatically I'm going to be prepared to believe before I even have notification that I'm going to get an opportunity or something, right? That if that happens, I will already be mentally there. Sometimes when I try to describe these things, it's not always easy. And sometimes it is, but this definitely hasn't been. And I hope that I explain myself well enough to, maybe have you guys get something out of it, you, the listener. But if you are following along, all I'm trying to get at, and to try to summarize it again in a hopefully simple way, is that the winning mindset doesn't begin at the starting line. It begins before you get to the race. It begins in not just my lifestyle or in your lifestyle, but it begins way back in your subconscious, okay? Before anything physical even interacts with your goals or anything. And if you can have that with everything, that's impressive. But at the very least, I truly believe you could have the mindset and the things that you're most passionate about. But kind of like how the Navy SEALs talk about BUDS training and stuff like that, it's all psychological. Well, that's true. It's physical, but it's also psychological. But the guys who always do the best have the most winning mindset. And through reading that book, I felt like it helped me understand that there's different levels to a winning mindset. Okay? If you have the winning mindset to do a 100-mile run, well, that's probably more of a winning mindset than somebody who only runs 10 miles. I know I'm giving physical examples of distances being ran, right? But this guy is actually a multi-marathon, long-distance runner. He's done like 100-mile runs and stuff like that. So ironically enough, it's actually a pretty good example. But for the longest, I always just sort of thought that the winning mindset was something that all of the top athletes and all of the professionals and stuff like that have. But within the elite, there has got to be different levels of that winning mindset, like the elite of the elite, right? And I truly psychologically leveled up my winning mindset, because now, instead of believing that I am going to achieve something when I try it, I believe it continuously before it even happens, and before I even get an opportunity to even hear about something that has to do with stand-up comedy. I truly believe not just in my abilities, okay, but I practice, I rehearse, and I write. And I am more mentally prepared as of today, June 25th, 2026, more than ever before. And I feel like it's been a blessing, and I'm thankful that I read that book, because sometimes you might see something like an image in the clouds and it might make you think of something else. Well, this was actually words in a book. And because I already had a winning mindset, it helped me to dig deeper and to realize that my winning mindset can even be improved upon. So I went from being positive in the moment to positive before the moment, if that even makes sense, right? So hopefully something that I said is beneficial to you. And again, if so, that's great. But at the very least, this is always a good note to myself to remember lessons learned, where I came from as far as prior progress goes, and where I'm at and where I'm going to be. So with that being mentioned, I hope everybody has a beautiful day. Level up your winning mindset. This is Benja Welldone. Check me out. Peace.